Reselling life.
Welcome everyone to another episode of This Is Your Reselling Life. Tonight we have one of the OGs from eBay. He runs his own disposal company where he does a lot of demolishing. So we have Denny all the way from Melbourne. Let's bring him up on the screen and learn all about his story. G'day, Denny. What's this? It's a panda. What's going on? We're being trolled here. We're being trolled.
That's a little bit too small for my huge head.
Well,
Hi everyone. G'day.
Thanks for the grand entry. That's the first here on live. So thanks for coming on.
Continuity there. People who've seen my little Instagram clip from the last couple of weeks will have seen me rolling around in the rubbish with that thing on.
I have seen that. It's very funny. It's very funny indeed. You've suited up tonight as well. So thank you very much for taking some time to looking all smick and well dressed there.
I really liked that you did that. So I wanted to show respect and be a part of it.
I appreciate it. It was all a joke to start with, so it's sort of gone on from there.
Well, you're a TV host. You've got to look good.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we're all here to learn about where your journey started on eBay. So do you want to tell us a little bit about where your reselling journey began?
Yeah, sure. So I started playing around with eBay in 2004, and I was mainly just buying weird stuff from the US. And I didn't really know about selling on eBay. But then I was back in Perth because I grew up in Perth and I was living back there. I've split my time between Perth and Melbourne, but that's another story. And I was working in this bottle shop in Perth, and this guy he kept doing weird things with the Boonie dolls, which were around in like 2005. I was like, what are you doing with these Boonie dolls? You keep taking them home in your bag. And he's like, I'm selling them on eBay to fund this short film he was making. And I thought that's pretty interesting. And he did it for a few weeks, and then he left to pursue his film career. And so then I became a manager of that bottle shop. And I started talking to the reps about, limited edition Jim Beam shirts and stubby holders and scarves and key rings. And I mean, it was amazing how much merch was flowing through this bottle shop. And there was always more of it than you could sort of give away to the customers. So I would take, a selection. And then some of the reps knew that I was doing that. And so they started giving me stuff because I was giving them front and center position in the shop. Nice. So it became like a sort of contra deal. And I started selling that stuff on eBay because of what I'd seen this guy doing. I missed out on the Boonie rush. By the time I got sort of there with Boonie dolls, everyone was doing it and the price had plummeted. So that's how I got into selling on eBay, and I just and it became an addiction. It became like, instead of playing video games, any spare time I had, I was just trying to sell stuff on eBay. It was like gambling, but without all the risk of gambling. Every time you heard the cha-ching, it was just such a high. And like a lot of people here, I guess, I just became totally hooked on it.
That's awesome, man. That's a very interesting start to sort of follow someone else and then be like, I could do that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even know about it at all.
Before we get any further deeper into your story, we'll say g'day to everyone in the chat and let them know we're thankful for them coming along. Pommy Picker was in first. Good old Rod.
Saying Rod.
Tommy all the way from the US. We got some girl named Jazz Sell. We got Sam, Second Life Sales, Thrift.me Frank. We got Liz. We got Robin. Sinister's in. He made his debut on live the other night as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mel back from Burnout.
I look the same, except he's got a bigger beard.
Yes, he does. Melanie, which is on your
that's
end.
My wife.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks for watching.
Apparently my daughter's watching YouTube.
Look, Mum of Hustling, Drew and Sarah, David Porter, Zach's in as well, and Bravo Charlie. So thanks everyone for coming along. I'm pretty excited to hear more about Denny's story. You've been around on eBay since, did you say 2004 is when you started your account?
Yeah, 2004 I started buying stuff, but I didn't sort of really start delving into selling until 2005, really.
And since then, you've sort of started a demolition business and stuff like that. And how's your eBay evolved to where it is now?
So with the liquor merch that the reps were giving us, I was saving for an overseas trip, for a around the world trip, and I already had 2 jobs, and I was just trying to maximize my savings, and so I really took that as far as I could, to the point where one of the guys I'd met in that bottle shop got a job in another bottle shop in Kalgoorlie, which is a little country town in the goldfields in WA, and I sort of got him on the down line, like Amway. He started sending me his merch as well, because he didn't.
Wow.
Lots of people were sort of scared of eBay even back then. Like, it's not that long ago. It doesn't seem that long ago to me, but people were sort of shy about selling stuff, and you could really cash in on that. They were like, "Oh, eBay, no, I can't do that. Here, have all my stuff and sell it, and give me some money if it works out."
Wow.
And so I had a downline through him, and then so I had one account going pretty well. I set him up an account, hoping that he was a mate of mine, hoping he'd do it, and he didn't. And I got that account to like 500 feedback, and then then I had 2 accounts going because I couldn't sort of get him to do it. And then I went on my overseas trip, and ended up back in Melbourne, back here, and then didn't really know about sourcing stock. I was thinking about this the other night when I thought about what I'd say about my sort of trajectory as a seller. I didn't know about thrifting. I just didn't know about op shops. It seems like such a freaking no-brainer now, but no one had. I wasn't a big op shopper anyway, and I just didn't know about it until I saw a US show on Foxtel called Thrift Hunters.
Yep.
With Jason T. Smith.
Yep.
And then I started sort of looking into him on the interwebs and following his show. He's got a Facebook group with 40,000 members, and then my mum married an American guy and moved to the US, and so that gave me opportunity to start going to the Pacific Northwest once a year. So I started seeing what life was like in American thrift shops, and it was pretty great. And some of the people here definitely know from what I've read.
Yeah, are from over there.
But I jumped ahead there. But yeah, so I was in Melbourne. I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm sort of overeducated and underqualified. And I saw this guy. This is probably the really important bit of the story. I did some casual work for this guy, picking up hard rubbish in his truck. And I was doing some cash in hand work for him, and then on the books for a little while, filling in for his guy who was on holidays. And I thought, watching his work, that this guy was getting paid to take away treasure. And I must have just seen a stream of jobs, really lucrative, like not rubbishy jobs, where he just got really cool stuff. And I kept looking at it. I was like, I cannot believe this guy is getting paid to take this stuff away. And I'm a total eBay junkie. So in the background, I'm like, man, if I had this business, my eBay would be going through the roof. And I kept saying to him, what about this bag, Matty? What about all this stuff here? Like there's $30 there, $40 there. And he goes, $30? I don't even care about that. You know, this is a $2,000 day. And I'm like, all right, you know, whatever. So anyway, when the opportunity presented itself, I bought a truck and just basically copied. Yeah. That's Zach and I have that real link, actually. Very similar species, Zach and I. So then I started. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to work in another bottle shop. I'm not sorry. I didn't classy. I didn't want to just get another, average job. I want to do something more interesting. And plus I thought I'd get paid to take away treasure, which is where I'm trying to head with this anecdote. And of course I found out that actually in a rubbish removal business, what actually happens is you're mainly removing rubbish and the treasures are, rare finds, probably about as rare as they are for everyone else. So I definitely do all right out of it. It's definitely my main sourcing profile, but it's not the glory getting paid to take away treasure that I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's a very interesting story, and I can see how you sort of drew that link between like clearing out someone's belongings and making some money on the side or on top of that. So that's
it's like getting paid twice. I couldn't believe it. And then you were selling scrap metal and stuff. I'm like, I'm getting paid 3 times for this job. How good is this thing?
So smart.
Whereas I could get $18 an hour everywhere else.
Yeah, no, very true. Jazz is asking, what's your best hard rubbish find? So I guess either from the the demolition jobs or on the side of the road? What's been the best find so far?
From a financial point of view, the things that are my favorite things, like I was thinking about this in preparation, I found this little timber box in the corner of a shed we were cleaning out, and it was from about 1860, and it had these electrodes in it, and it was this medical device that you got someone to hold the handles of it, and then someone would crank this little motor around, and it would give you these controlled shocks, and it was supposed to treat everything, basically, headaches and whatever, the flu, whatever was going on with you. It treated everything, and I think it was basically snake oil. And I just couldn't. It was the first really amazing thing that I found under my own sort of business. And I thought, I've struck it rich here. This is $20,000 of 1860 box here. But when I finally got around to looking it up, I was almost scared to look it up because I thought, this is my lottery ticket out of here.
Yeah,
it was worth $200.
Oh.
But you can't sort of fault it for weirdness. I mean, where would you ever see one of those again? It's just that the internet has decided that it's not that desirable. It's not as desirable as some anime T-shirt or something, but it's not as desirable as your Niki Lauda jacket, for example.
The background.
It's definitely weirder.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably my favorite find is the first IBM laptop. We got one of those where it really shouldn't have been, in a shed that had collapsed, and it was full of rats, and the weather had got in, and it was pretty disgusting. And at the bottom of that pile of disgusting, there was this huge laptop in its case with the IBM logo on it.
Wow.
And I knew straight away from watching American Pickers or whatever that something like that was going to be valuable, and it was. So that'd probably be my favorite find, actually. When that sold, I actually shouted so loud I scared my mum.
Your poor mum. We were talking quickly last night, and you said that you had a really expensive item that walked out the door for a pretty cheap price, and you didn't realize until afterwards. So, do you want to talk a little bit about
that? I hate this story. I had this antique Bakelite radio, and one of my boys found it in this shed, and I thought, that's old. I like old stuff because as a jumping off point, if you don't know much, and I don't know that much, I'm learning on the fly all the time. If you find something old, that's not a bad jumping off point for maybe something being desirable or having some end value. So we generally keep old stuff as a sort of starting point. And so I got this very rundown looking old radio, and it took me a while to get back to it. And when I got back to it, I looked around, I did my comps, and I couldn't see much. There was one in Tassie as a buy it now for $200, and it was in much better condition. It was much cleaner looking, and it was working, whereas mine was just toast. The inside was there were still rats living in mine.
Oh wow!
And so I put it on. I thought, I'm having an eBay day. I'm smashing stuff out. It's an easy couple of photos. I'll smash it out for $50. Anyway, it sold in 10 minutes.
Wow!
And I'm like, I'm so good at this. I'm listing stuff. It's selling straight away. Anyway, then these messages started coming in to the effect of, "Hey, dude, please tell me you didn't just sell that radio for $50. I'm like, yeah, sure I did. What are you talking about? Please tell me it's not gone. I'm like, yeah, the guy came straight away. He was here like 30 minutes later. He's like, dude, that radio is worth $1,000. I mean, really, like, you just sold that for $50. I'm like, no, you've got it wrong, dude. There's one in Tassie right now, a brown one, for $50 and for $200, and it's working. So I'll just buy that one and sell that for $1,000. And he goes, no, mate, no, that one's brown. Your one was green. And I'm like, I hate you, train spotters. I hate you guys. How could you know that? How could you have that level of information at your disposal?
Wow, that's crazy. That's what was that one from that job?
That's Brady. I think you found that, mate. Yeah, thanks for that, Brady. Nice one.
Yeah, it's just rubbing it in a little bit.
It was green, yeah. It was shitty green Bakelite, which apparently makes all the difference.
Well, we've all learned something here tonight, because I had no idea. I definitely wouldn't have Wouldn't have known that
Yeah,
one.
sorry about the energy. I'm
No, I
very
love it.
enthusiastic.
It's it's beautiful. I love the way you're
I'm a bit
presenting.
overtired too. We demolished a caravan today, and it was 29 degrees here today. So once the caravan came down, we were in full sun. So
Bit of dehydration.
so I'm probably high from the work.
Wow.
I'll probably pass out in a sec.
Well, let's not let that happen. Otherwise, I'll be talking to myself, and I'm not that interesting. So,
Oh, mate,
if you
come
just
on!
stay
You've
with
got
us a
Nicky
little bit
Lauder
longer.
behind you. You could get a whole show out of that. Look at that shell. I was telling someone about that shell today.
Still waiting on authentication, so that's a further story down the track, I think.
G'day, Damo.
Yeah, Damo's
Jack.
in. Megan Nichols is here as well. Melanie is saying, here we go. Jazz, how do you come across your jobs? Do you run ads or do you go by contract? How does that all work?
A bit of everything, actually. When we were starting out, we ran a shit ton of advertising. We spent pretty much a quarter of our whole budget advertising everywhere, and a lot of it didn't work very well. In the end, Google just kind of made our lives a lot easier because it was sort of 2010, and it sounds weird to say, but Google probably didn't have the grip on the advertising market sort of here for a tradesperson, which is sort of call us, I suppose. We're sort of trades. Yeah, so we spend a lot of money on advertising, Jazz. We a lot on Google AdWords. We've got an SEO guy right now doing some work to make us more competitive, and
Wow.
and my wife has a background in that sort of thing, so she chips in and helps with the social media and just with ideas and makes us, because social media is a big part of it now, I suppose. But,
yeah, definitely.
And reviews, that's probably the main way, because we're nice to people. Go figure.
Yeah. It's a lost art.
We get a lot of reviews. And for a while, we were the only rubbish company in Melbourne that had a lot of reviews, but I think they've cottoned on. I mean, it always happens, doesn't it, when you do something? And now I'm not first anymore, but then over time, you get regular clients who rely on you a lot, and they kind of keep you afloat when it's quiet. Today it was our local cafe. The lady, we were sitting there with my daughter having some lunch, and she asked me, could we get rid of the caravan in the back of her cafe because it was landlocked and it didn't do anything anymore, and they wanted to open that space up, and so that's how we got that job. So that was just random. That was just happenstance.
That's good to have those connections, though.
Cheers. You need luck.
Zach's asking, what is your main items that you list?
I'm glad you asked. So watching you guys, like watching most of the people in our in the resellers group and in these lives and stuff, people talking, there's a fair bit of crossover for what I sell. Like I sell a lot of stuff that you guys sell, and actually I've learned a lot watching you guys. I was watching Zach's videos early on, and I was watching you. I was just talking to Brad in the green room about seeing their buying up the ink cartridges, the liquidation stock and stuff.
Horrible video.
So I'm a sponge, because I love selling. I was learning, getting any new product stuff that I could think, because I see so much stuff, and sometimes I see stuff that's worth money, and then I go, oh Christ, geez, we threw a lot of that away last year, because I didn't know. But I guess to answer Zach's question, I seem to end up selling a lot of really old, weird stuff. I don't have an example at hand. I've got this. I don't know if you can see this. Every time people hold stuff up in these shows, you can't really see what it is. But so this is a Don Bradman extract from a newspaper from the 30s.
Wow.
And I looked this up, and there were no comps on eBay, but I could see that it had sold at Sotheby's. But they want you to pay to see the price.
Yeah, of course.
And to be honest, I'm a bit of a cricket tragic, so I'll probably be keeping that one for the man cave. You have to show some restraint. But just to have another crack at answering Zach's question, I sell whatever I can get my hands on, honestly. It's fun. It's part of how we support ourselves. It's a big part of our business. How would I describe my eBay store? A junk shop. It's a junk shop. Actually, there was one video Zach did where he just randomly picked up a bunch of boxes from the side of the road and brought them back to his what looks like his little man cave.
Mm.
Is it in a basement under your house, Zach? Is that where it is? There seemed to be
It's in like a separate, like not carport area, but
it's
like
a back shed or something.
yeah.
Anyway, it looks. I always think of it as something you've got this whole basement subterranean cellar to yourself. Anyway, so I was watching that, and when I was watching him pull out like shitty crockery and stuff from the '60s, and I was thinking, man, I really relate to this guy because I waste so much time. Actually, Brady, who I saw in the chat, I force him to help me with it sometimes, and we just trawl through boxes of deceased estate stuff, and 90% of it's worthless, but it's so interesting. It's got maker's stamps, but you can burn a lot of time. So I'm trying to become more efficient at what I list. I do get stuck listing a lot of stuff, collectibles, old collectibles that I know are going to sit in the shop for 12 months, and they will sell eventually. The other thing is, I thought that I should say this. I've got to sell what we get a little bit as well, so that's forced me to try and sell everything. Which I was saying to Brad last night, which means I get a lot of duds because I see this dog bowl from Gun Guy and I think someone's going to want that, right? So I put that in the shop and then it sits in there for 18 months.
Wow.
But now I've got the lockers. I can, if stuff doesn't sell for 18 months and I'm angry with it, I punish the stock by throwing it in a box and putting it on auction on iBid.
We'll definitely touch on that in a second. Zahir's dropped in and he says, loving the quality of the shirt and tie next to the giant panda plush. It's actually a panda
I haven't done the comps on that suit. I've got the whole suit. I've got the body and the hands and the feet.
That's
the guy thought we were weird. He came out to see how we were going with his job, and I was rolling around in the rubbish. But someone's got to do that. I mean, you can't all be straight and normal.
You can't let that one get away.
No, I mean, otherwise it's just like working, and where would the fun in that be?
Must be doing that. Nobody really.
I'm eclectic, like Hope said. I've got no choice but to be eclectic. I copy you guys too. I mean, I really do. I watch the bolos. And also I'm thrifting now as well when I have time, which admittedly is limited. I love op shopping. I find it really hard. I'm a total newbie at op shopping. But
learn as you go, and
you learn as you go, yeah. And I learn from you guys. That's why I turn up to as much of the chats and stuff as possible. Yeah.
Appreciate it. But having what you do for a living, like you have to learn a whole vast range of categories. So your knowledge base is always going to expand and expand because you don't have that go-to item. It's always different.
There's an old TV show. I'm probably going to, it's probably mark myself as being an old geezer here. But when I was a kid, there was a show called Minder, and there was a guy in that called Arthur Daly, it was my dad's favorite show. And he had a minder because he'd get into some deals where his minder would have to punch someone up or protect him from getting punched up. And Arthur Daly, he was a bit of a crook actually, and I'm not a crook. I don't like cheating people, so we're a bit different in that regard. But he knew everything. He knew what every vase was worth. He knew, he just everything he saw. He was sort of like, yeah, that's worth 10 quid. I'll be popping that in the shop later. And so I sort of modeled myself on him. I'm like, everywhere I go, I'm like, is there a turn in that? What do you think of that? What if I bundle those books together? Is there $20 in that? But the truth is, I need a listing assistant. I was talking to someone today about that actually. It's probably time that we tried to expand the operation, because with what you can see, I'm doing more smalls now because when I started out, I probably should have mentioned this. How's my narrative jumping all over the place? But I was doing a lot of big items in the early days because my thinking was, if we got a fridge, it's probably a bad example. If we got a couch, I thought if I can sell that couch out of my driveway for $50 or $200 or whatever, it's going to save me 30 kilos of tipping fees. And our tipping fees are our greatest expense in our business. And so it's going to make me some money and it's going to save me those fees. So I get the 200 and then I save $50 in tipping maybe. So I was on big items, but they're really labor intensive. And then watching you guys and watching the Thrifters really sort of sharpened my spear, as it were. And I started hitting the smalls, and now I've got a more traditional. Watching Chris 10K on the Bay, and that's where I got the idea for the tubs and daily refinement.
Yeah, he's really switched on. Zach's saying we all need a listing assistant. 20 an hour and free chutney. I'm down. I'll do it for 19 and free chutney. So
if that's Mum's market rate, I'm all there. I'll double that because they've got to be worth more than that. Free chutney. I'm a great cook. I'll make you some chutney. Do I get Drew and Sarah, or just one of you?
Oh, that's a tough one. That one. Someone's got to look after Archie. So
dogs and cats are welcome.
Yeah, you briefly touched on before your little other gig that you're doing, your locker stuff. So you obviously get quite a lot of stock from these clearances and stuff. So do you want to talk everyone through your model of the storage units and how you cornered that?
This year? So I was getting inundated with stock. So what can happen in our business? Because I'm a one-man eBay listing, that's why I always ask the question of all your guests about, what are their methods for listing faster? Because it seems like everyone lists faster than me, and I'm pretty diligent. I've got some experience, and I have got quicker using my phone. A friend of mine, Wayne, who runs a Storage King and also an eBay. I've got him in our group actually. He sits watching telly and having a beer and lists on his phone. I thought, that sounds ridiculous. How are you going to get anything done? And then I went home that night and tried it, and it was actually faster. So I mainly use my phone now, especially dealing with smalls. I've lost my train of thought. What was the question? The storage units. Sorry. I was getting. That's right. I was getting a lot of overstock, and I couldn't keep up with it. It was upsetting my wife. It was upsetting me, and we were just drowning in stock. And I've made a comment a few times and got some laughs that my whole house and yard looks like a junk shop. Hey, there's Wayne. So to alleviate that, because it was getting ridiculous, I was doing garage sales in our front yard, and I did a few of those, and they were pretty successful from a turnover point of view. But they were incredibly hard work, and I found them like 13, 14-hour days when you sort of factored it all up, and it was sort of ball-breaking labour. It was no different to doing a rubbish removal day. It was really tough, harder than a rubbish removal day. And so I thought, well, that's not going to work. So we sort of canned the garage sales for a while, but I've got this massive supply of stuff, and we were giving a lot of stuff to op shops. And then they were being difficult as well. We were forming relationships with them, and then we'd go in there and they wouldn't remember who we are, and they'd refuse to take cash. There was nothing wrong with it. And I'm like, but this is, I'm Den. I mean, remember I gave you all those cabinets that you sold last week straight away. Give me a chop out here. Like, just take this couch. There's nothing wrong with it. It'll really help me out today because I got 6 more jobs in front of me, and they wouldn't. So then that I found them tough to deal with. They were really fussy. Anyway, by accident, I think I was searching in Google. I didn't know about iBid. I was searching for how do you buy lockers because, again, from watching people like yourself, Brad, buy bulk lots, I thought if I did want to do less rubbish removal and focus more on the shop, how would I source stock? Because from my point of view, sourcing is probably the big starting point, the critical thing for everyone, isn't it? Like, where do you get your stock from, and worthwhile stock? So then I found iBid, the auction site, and I contacted them, and they're mainly for storage facilities recouping their money on abandoned storage lockers. But some private people like myself can hire a locker and fill it with stuff and put it on their auction site. And so I was one of the few private sellers on there, and still am. And so I've got a couple of 2x3 lockers, and when I see appropriate stuff that's not total garbage and there's some resale value in there, we fill it up. And it's just like listing on eBay. You get 25 photos. You've got to write a rough inventory of what's in there, and it's a bit different, obviously, to an abandoned locker where there's that mystery of a potential bidder not knowing what's in there, and maybe there's a Picasso in there. But I try and be as transparent as I can about what's in there. If electrical equipment hasn't been tested, I put in brackets, because some of my buyers actually ring me to complain about stuff that's not working. I get feedback about my stock. I try and be as straight as I can and give good value. And I put a couple of make sure there's some cherries in there. I was just saying to Brad before, in this current locker, I've got an old English truck thing from about 1930, which I know is worth a little bit, and I would normally sell something like that. And I put a Winston Churchill bust in there. He's got a removable cigar, and he's made out of some sort of weird chalk. And he's worth a bit too. I've seen him on auction houses. So I put those two in there. I could have reasonably sold both of those myself, but if I can get a good return on the whole locker by putting a couple of good things in there, then that's sort of the aim of that game.
Hope's just saying you're in Victoria, you're in Melbourne, yeah?
I am, yep.
Jazz is saying, yo, I didn't know you could sell that way. Schooled. Here's our buddy.
Because you need a shit ton of stuff, because if you put 6 boxes in a locker, you'll get $30. Hey, Retro Rescuers! Woo!
It's good to see them in. They're definitely fans of Denny. They hit me up before saying they really enjoyed catching up with you the other few weeks ago now.
Yeah, we've done a meetup.
Yeah, did see that on Instagram. So definitely jealous they got to meet Denny before we did, but that's all right. We'll
It's all right. I'll come to Adelaide.
Retro's in the house. Hope says, "Heart, I bid on your units." That's awesome.
Oh, did you, Hope? How'd you go? Did you win?
Tommy says, "Man, in the US, we find gold bars, airplanes, diamonds, you name it. Just watch YouTube and they'll show you." Yeah, I think Australia is so different because most of the stuff is like photographs. So
and their market is, you can just see it in their shops. That's right. There's plenty of me to go around. Their market, like just seeing their thrift stores. My mum volunteers in a thrift store in Oregon, and it's hilarious, the volume of stock, because they're just like Australia on steroids, and they were a consumerist society, if you could say that, years before we were. So as you guys would know, all you retro collectors and stuff, there's just, and England's probably similar in a way as well, much bigger population density, but I think when you look at it, obviously we're much smaller, and it sort of shows in the depth of treasures that we've got. It's all ceramic. It's all like saucers from 1930 and glass dogs and weird things that I find.
Wow. Megan's saying we need a big meetup. I watch and chat with you all so much. It feels like I know you all. Yeah, we'll definitely.
I know. We're some sort of messed up family, right?
Yeah, Adam's family. So that's probably a good little segue into a question that I had. Obviously, sort of the reselling community sort of been really great to us, and we really enjoyed our time. But what is reselling given you? Like, what is the things that the reselling community has given you as a person, or for your store or anything like that? Really?
You mean what has sort of our community given to me?
Oh, just in general, the reselling community overseas in Australia, or?
Well, so I've heard a lot of people say this. I've heard Andrew and Pommy saying this on their shows. I started out watching the US shows. It just didn't occur to me that there would be anything in Australia. And like Andrew, I started watching that young guy that used to do these American style clips, and then he sort of branched off and started doing all drone sort of short films of his travels in Bali and stuff, and then he sort of disappeared. But so I was watching. So I didn't know there was any Australian people at all, so I was and I, like a lot of people have said in the group, I found watching the American sellers. Some of the information was definitely helpful, but then you'd go looking for stuff, and they've got obviously brands we never see, and I'm pretty much saying the same stuff everyone's already said, but. But so I wasn't finding the bolos all that useful for me, and so after a while, I felt like a bit of a foreigner there. And so I looked around and found the big Aussie eBay Amazon group, where I saw Cam,
Yep.
who's doing his tennis stuff now. And I saw Cam get into some argy-bargy actually with the mods or whatever over something, because he was publicizing his social media, and that wasn't really flying there. And then the very next day or whatever, him and you and Zach and whoever else, all you core guys, set up your little group, and it just blew up overnight. And so I was all about that, because it was a much friendlier atmosphere for me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that group. There's lots of really skilled people in that group, but it made me feel a bit inadequate at times. Like there was dudes flashing their Ferraris and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. Good luck to you, but I just want to hear about selling weird bits of ceramic and stuff, because that's where I live. So where do I get the vintage toys? I need to know about that. So so then I followed that to this newer group, the smaller group, and then so what I got out of it was I'm learning all the time, and it's encouraging for my morale when I'm feeling down about the bizarre nature of my life. And I could have been a lawyer, and I could have not had a driveway full of shit and 2 sheds full of shit and sitting in a storeroom full of shit. I you guys know reselling, it's hard work, it's a grind, but it encourages me when I'm feeling a bit flat. Like the other day I was feeling very flat about it, and then I saw Mitch from Retro. He just had this op shop run, where he just kept finding great stuff and posting it on Instagram. And I thought, that straight away I wanted to list. I was like, I just got to go down and list something. I just want to hear a cha-ching. I'm just hooked on it. It's my, like most of you guys, it's so enjoyable when you succeed. It's and people who don't do it don't really get it. I suppose they think you're a bit kooky, and but once you've been a part of it, and I think that's amplified, to sort of bring it back to your question, by seeing other people who are good at it and really enjoy it, and people who are better at it than you are, which you see all the time in our group. It's really encouraging. It shows you that there's things to aim for, and they're not just trying to sell you self-help packages like a lot of the American people, God bless them. But it's something very genuine about the Australian ethos. And I've noticed in this group, people are very supportive. People are very friendly. And the other thing I'd like to say, and I had this planned for a week, there's not as much bitching about eBay, and eBay does weird shit to me all the time. I'm having problems right now. My store is dead, like Zach's, and they pulled a listing of mine, which was an art book the other day. This German art book, because I'm also a photographer, and this fantastic book, and they pulled that. And then I saw on their other sites they had 5 of them in other countries. And then I looked up Playboys and Penthouse, and they had 1,500 of those listed. So I rang them, and I'm trying to practice not getting angry about stuff, because it's no good for you. I'm doing meditation and trying to be a more thoughtful dude. And so I thought, I'm not going to get angry with eBay. I'm not going to think everyone's against me. And so I got on there. I rang them and I said, it seems a bit inconsistent to me that you're selling all these nudie magazines and you're pulling my art book, which is actually world-renowned, genuine art. And yes, there's some pretty suggestive nudity in it, but that's inconsistent. And anyway, they did what they always do, and they politely gave me the brush off and said, we've taken a note of your suggestions, but right now we can't do anything about it. The cha-ching is my drug. So I hope that answered the question.
I think the thing with that group is Cam and Zach sort of started it off and got the ball rolling, and it's just sort of grown from there. And I think we do, as a collective, try and keep it pretty open and positive. And it's a really good space, because you're right, there's so many people in there doing different things, and you just learn from everyone every day. You see people doing amazing stuff and just smashing it, and you just want to be a part of it. So I'm super thankful that I'm part of that group. So
me too.
So I did see some questions up here. I'm just going to try and catch up with them. Tommy's saying, so damn easy to get on, right? eBay doesn't make it easy. Yeah, absolutely.
Good point.
Here we go. There's a good question. Where is it, Jazz? Do your fam like finding cool stuff as well? Are they part
not
of it?
as much as I would like. Like I really, my wife's probably watching this right now, so but I really would like her to embrace it more, and it's not really her thing, which is fair enough. It's not for everyone. And I guess you guys are like my substitute partners in that regard, which sort of brings it back to your previous question. But my mum, for whatever reason, really has that sort of weird, kooky treasure hunter thing about it. She really likes every time I talk to her on the phone because she's in the US. She always asks me what weird treasures have I sold this week, and she wants a list every time. So my mum's into it, but can't really help me, obviously. She never. I give her lists of bolos because she works in a bloody thrift store in the US.
Yeah.
And the last time I was in there, I found one of the greatest things ever. And I give her a list of things. I'm like, Mum, you've just got to get me some of this stuff, the US market. And but she just doesn't do it. But anyway,
not pulling away, eh?
No, not pulling away.
So you've been around eBay for a while, and you've obviously seen things change.
We are twins, Thrifty Pixie. We do look alike. Let me put my hat on. We'll be identical.
Oh no. Can't find it.
No.
Thrift throuple. That's interesting.
A thrift throuple.
Yeah,
baby.
So you've been around eBay for quite a while. I guess what's the sort of any advice that you'd give to new resellers or people starting out? What's your sort of golden nugget that you'd pass on to the next generation, I suppose?
That's a great question. I wish I had a golden nugget prepared. Where's my golden nugget list? Damn it. Look, it depends, because if you've got, I think I heard someone saying this on the Waffle on Rod's show last week, saying that it depends on, maybe it was Zahir saying this even, if you've got a job, no, I think it was Andrew, if you've got a job, then it's okay for you to just have an experiment and try different stock items and maybe go for higher priced items that give you a greater margin because presumably you're doing another job and you've got limited time resources.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like those guys and you're making your rent by selling, then you need to grind as your starting point. You need to set up your bread and butter items and make sure that they're ticking over so that whatever happens, you're secure. I think that'd be, because I see a lot of people jumping into reselling because they don't want to work for the man anymore, and that's fair enough. And I'm sure we all appreciate that. But you don't want to come to hate eBay because it doesn't deliver. And there's going to be times where eBay, for whatever reason, the algorithm is just going to switch your shop off, and you are not going to sell anything for a week.
Definitely.
Unless you're like Brad and Jazz.
No, we had a shock in 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks, because of all these issues that are going around. So you're absolutely right. You've got to have that constant income, especially when you're full time. I don't think there's any better advice. Like you can't.
Yeah, that'd be my nugget. Just make sure if you're relying on it, make sure you shore up your income to make sure that you're getting by. We're twins. Hey, I'd be happy to be his brother. That's fine. Look at his jacket behind him. Who wouldn't want to be brothers with that guy?
Just tried it with my head.
He's got the picker light around him. Look at Brad. He finds stuff. He goes in thrift stores and the seas part and he finds things.
That was a fluke. I really wish I got it on camera, but I was carrying like 7 pairs of shoes, so it was awkward. The Aussie VHS Thrifter is in as well. Thanks for coming along. He was quality last week as well.
Great show.
Had some awesome guests and definitely yourself included, and I really appreciate you coming along. If anyone's got any questions tonight as well, we still got 15 minutes to go, so please drop them in the chat. We've got 37 watching, so thanks everyone for coming along. We really appreciate you spending some time with us, and I was really keen to learn more about Denny because he's always in the chat, always positive, and I know that he's going to do well. I guess my question for you is just talking your last few days and you sort of got your microphone sorted. Is there any YouTube plans in the future?
I would love to. Obviously, I've got a big head and, literally I've got a big head. And
pretty
I'd
cool.
love to get on YouTube, and my family have been asking me for years to film. Not so much the reselling; they don't really know about that, but the weird jobs that we get. Because like we went to a job earlier this year, just randomly, and we were emptying out this house that the man had passed away, and we were doing it for his son, and his son was somewhere else. And one of my guys said, "Hey, Den, what's this box on the counter here?" And I just knew what it was instantly. I'm like, "That's someone's ashes."
Oh,
And
wow.
and I said, "I've never seen human remains on a job before." So I rang the client, and I said to him, I said, "Mate, are you aware that there's a box of human ashes on the counter here?" And he goes, "Yeah. Is that a problem?" I'm like, "Well, I've put a lot of weird things in the tip before, but I've never put a box of human remains in the tip before. So maybe there's some legality there." And he goes, "Could you deal with it for me? Because I've got a lot on at the moment." So I'm like, so anyway, I got off the phone. It was a really lucrative job for us, so I didn't sort of want to rock the boat too much. And so I think he said the guy's name. He goes, "Yeah, that's Derek." And I'm like, "Bloody hell, I've got Derek in my hands." So I got my lads and we went out the back, and I looked around, and there was a lemon tree out the back of this house. So we dug a hole and we buried Derek under the lemon tree.
Oh, wow.
And we had and Derek's ashes splashed across my boots. And I looked at the boys and I said, "That's rubbish removal. It's a very weird caper, and lots of weird stuff happened." And that's Zach's onto it. So that's why my family are like, "You need to have a YouTube show." But we just, because I'm under, like, I was thinking about it today. My mate Brady, who works with me sometimes, was trying to film a bit of the caravan demo today, and it's really Derek. I hope Derek's all right. We don't know anything about him. Maybe he wasn't a very nice guy, but we gave him a proper send off anyway. You're under time pressure in our game. It's really more cost effective, obviously, if you can finish a big job in one day and not have to come back the next day. Your margins obviously diminish if you have to return. So shooting what we're doing freaks me out a bit. But to be fair, I haven't really thoroughly investigated our options yet. And someone was saying to me recently that I should get a GoPro on my chest. But you've still got to come back and edit all that raw footage. So I've been thinking maybe I could pay someone, an Airtasker or someone, to edit some, because you guys don't mind content that's a bit rough around the edges. So I thought I'd really like to do it. I think I said one of the first things I said to Brad actually on social media was, "I love what you guys are doing, and I'd really like to be a part of it, because I know I've got some interesting stories to show, not just about reselling, but there's crossover there. But it's just finding the time, honestly. And now I've got a daughter as well, who's awesome, but is a total time suck. Like, it's just like, she takes an hour to eat every meal. She's really slow. Just likes to, and then has a break for a little bit, and eats another little bit, and like carries on, and then eats another little bit anyway. So yeah, I definitely will look into it. I'll try and post something. I've been trying, as a gesture to you guys, I've been trying to post little clips on Instagram, because it's quite easy.
Yeah.
And so I hope people have been seeing those. I know they're not going to set the world on fire, and I'm incompetent as well. Like my mate filmed this really funny video of me trying to get the stout bottles. So one of the stout bottles had exploded in my face, and I was bleeding, and it was really yummy, by the way. I didn't get to mention that because Instagram obviously clips your videos into 60 seconds, and I'm too stupid to ran out of time to work out how to get the rest of the video in there, so it just ends suddenly. But yeah, in answer to that, yes, I'd like to get involved, definitely. But there's a lot of content. You guys put so much content out there. I find it hard to get anything done, because I feel guilty. I really wanted to say this. If I don't show up to any of your shows, please know it's not because I don't care. It's just because I'm totally overwhelmed with my responsibilities, because I really actually feel a little bit of guilt. If I see if I see, for example, Damo posts a lot, if I see his stuff going up and I don't have time to watch it, I feel a pang of guilt, like my mate has just done something and I'm not giving it any support. So I fully experience the guilt, the FOMO.
I think we all understand that people can't always come around, and it's just nice to see people when they are in the chat, and you always understand that people have their own lives as well, and you can't expect everyone to show up when you're ready. So,
I like how people just pop in and say, I'm just popping through. I saw Drew doing that the other day. It's like, I'm just popping through my lunch break. So then I did it as well. I'm like, yeah, I'm just popping through.
Tagging you in. But that's nice though, because you know that person's, taking time, and they want to say hey, but they can't stick around.
Actually, my wife just made a really good point, and I'll get killed if I don't mention this. My mother-in-law is an awesome supporter of eBay. She's totally into it. She always she follows. She's worked out some way to follow everything that I sell on eBay, so which no one else knows how to do. She's got this screen that no one else has found. She just cracked that by herself, so she knows everything that's happening in my shop even before I do. She knows if my shop's having a lull. Next time I talk to her, she's like, "Shop's a little bit down at the moment, isn't it?" I'm like, God damn it, how do you know that already?
Out of my head.
She's all over it. No, she's been a very good supporter.
I love your clips. I don't want to move any pianos though.
Oh, the piano.
Your wife likes hoarding vintage, not selling.
Yeah, she loves vintage, and actually I've got to hide stuff from her because she wants to keep everything and won't let me sell anything.
And love dropping in the chats on lunch breaks. Can always find a golden nugget or two. I think there is a lot of content out there at the moment, but there's always room for other people, and you're always going to naturally gravitate to certain people and certain
people. Yeah, and people are going to come and go, obviously, as time takes over their lives. And
there's plenty of room for Denny. So if you ever get a chance, I'll
try, guys. I'd love to be part of it. I enjoy. I enjoy watching, and I would like to contribute more.
No, we definitely appreciate all your support that you've given us, and I'm sure a lot of other people are very happy.
Great fun.
Here we go. I always say the first part. If VHS Thrifter was here, he'd probably get all over it. But
we are kindred spirits.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's right. Yeah, I knew that, Zach. That's why I kept mentioning you because, because when you started doing curbside stuff, I was like, that's the closest guy in this group to my life that I've seen.
Yeah. I love what Zach does as well. It's awesome. Wow, your mum is unreal.
Yeah.
Cool. So you've obviously got your business running in the foreground, I suppose, and then your eBay in the back of that. Have you ever thought about doing eBay full time, or is your job that you're doing sort of sustaining you in a way that you're going to keep going with that and you enjoy that as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you got to that. That's a huge part of my day-to-day psychology. I would rather be doing eBay all the time.
Yeah, right.
I think about going full time. My work is very physical, and I feel like a beaten up old footballer most days. I got a mate of mine who does physio, and I get physio from him a couple of times a month to kind of stay in the game. Because that's why I guess you thought that I was buff in that video clip or whatever.
But your shirt's bulging at the seams, and you're doing all right. Yeah, there we go.
I wanted to do the Fight Club quote about when people come to rubbish removal. That when they first come to rubbish removal, they're like a wad of cookie dough, but after 2 weeks, they're carved out of wood. And that's what it's like. It's very hard going. So I can't keep it up forever. I've got a daughter. I want to protect myself. I'd really like to do I haven't quite cracked the mystery of eBay yet. I think following you guys has helped, like working out, where to source other stuff and op shopping, and definitely learning about clothing and stuff, because I'm a bit like some of the older sellers. I find clothing a bit of a drag. It's so labor intensive, but I know there's money to be made there. But so yeah, I guess the answer is I definitely would like to go full time at some point, and we may give it a try at some point. But the other problem is that, and this I can't get away from rubbish removal in a way. I was saying this to my wife the other day, because when it works, it brings in house loads of stock, and we get paid to remove that. And I know I said earlier that it's sort of mostly rubbish, and it is mostly rubbish. But when it works, you get paid a heap of money to do a job, and it's a hard job. But your back end reward is you've been paid for it, and then you get to take 2/3 of it back to your shed and go through it and try and sell it. So it's very hard to give that up.
Yeah.
because I know I've got a sourcing advantage that a lot of people don't have.
Denny, just turn the tables. What tips for efficiency do you have?
Yeah, I love your work, Megan. I was hoping someone would do that to me. I'm going to keep asking that too, because that's my favorite thing. Well, I guess the reason I keep asking it is because I don't bloody know. I batching, like you guys say, batching, knowing what you're going to list in advance. Because I've got a lot of stock at any given moment, I can get a bit lost faffing around with the stock and like looking things up and stuff. So it's a really good idea if you can get a batch of stuff together that you know you're going to list. I think Drew and Sarah were talking about this the other week. Just get that stuff together. Like they're really systematic. That'd be my advice, is copying their advice. They do their their batching, and then they do their photography, and then they do their listing in batches. I haven't cracked it. You guys, everyone on this group seems to list faster than me, and I'm not just saying that to blow smoke. I really watch you guys, and I'm intimidated by how fast everyone is.
Yeah, the thing is, you only see the end product of it. Like it's, there are little efficiencies you can get, but at the end of the day, it takes everyone a long time. It's just a matter of refining that process to a point.
That question, Jay.
Where did your interest in come from? No, it's on topic.
Okay. There's only 4 minutes left, though. Don't you want me to talk about selling stuff? My mum was a big reader and made me read stuff, and if I didn't read, she'd lock me in a shed at the bottom of the garden. So I'd have to come back and give a book report.
Yeah. Photo first, right, Brad? You and Lost Anywhere. I'm missing the missing the back end of that. You're the topic. That is very true. Jasmine has.
Hey, Jazz, it's my favorite thing. I love being the topic.
Just smashed 3 chickens in 15. That's awesome.
There you go. See what I mean?
So, hit me up. We can organize something. I think they're organizing a get together over in Sydney. So that'll. I'm
loving this meetup talk. I'd really like to do a Melbourne meetup for any Melbourne thrifters in the house. We could definitely put something together. Maybe we could get a road trip together or something.
Yeah. We're definitely interested in coming over east at some point and meeting up with everyone, because there's a lot of people over that way. So
we should all go to Las Vegas. We should go to the big eBay conference in Las Vegas and then do the thrifting there.
That would be hectic. 2021, I reckon. 2020 is probably a bit close, but
there you go. Yeah, that's achievable.
Yeah, let's do it.
We love Las Vegas. I've been twice. It's awesome and crazy and bad at the same time.
Picks. We need a Sydney one. I'm in Melbourne.
Pixel
Sean. Yep, he's just coming back from overseas after a little bit, so it's going to be cool to see what he's putting out in a little bit. That would be a blast. Absolutely. We just like even here we meet up with Car every once in a while, and we always have like a great time because everyone has that same sort of passion, and you sort of learn things off each other, and yeah, it's great when you meet other thrifters.
Yeah, and I haven't done it, and it's pretty lonely, as other people have said. It can be a bit lonely being stuck in your little listing den.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hire a bus and drive to Queensland, visit everyone and thrift there. Yeah, that's the dream. Maybe one day. We've got a bit of a way to go. Pixel's saying lots of content coming out. We need to sell a lot to get to Vegas.
Yeah.
And
good goals, though.
Head office in Sydney. That's funny. If anyone has any last minute questions for Denny, please drop them in. I've got one more. So you said that you do keep some stuff. What's your personal collection? What's the thing that you like to keep most?
Well, so I've got little things that I feel nostalgic about. I bought that Robin Williams doll in the US because I'm a big Robin Williams fan. So I keep a couple of things. I try to show restraint though, because if you're like me, it's easy to end up with too much stuff. I'm going to probably keep that Bradman thing because I'm a cricket tragic. I am denied about it because it's probably worth $500.
Wow.
But from what I saw, I'll probably keep that because my dad was a huge Bradman fan, and my dad's not with us anymore, so there's a bit of a connection there. I like things from my childhood, like a lot of people in this group. I like I like to keep. I've got some Kiss cards at the moment that my mate had, and he passed away.
Wow.
I kept a couple of those. I keep little nostalgic things, but honestly, I try and show restraint, because the things that you own end up owning you.
Yeah, yep, definitely. It sounds like you got a nice little collection, though, sentimental stuff, which means something to you. That's,
you know what? In the spirit of this chat and how kind everyone's been to me in this group, I'll do a little video of my favorite. I'll do a little video of the favorite things from rubbish jobs that I've kept, because there's not that many, so it'll make a good little.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
YouTube or Insta?
Don't know yet. Probably Insta at this stage, because I'm getting comfortable there. But maybe I'll make that my YouTube debut.
Do it. I guarantee you'll
I totally do, Zach, and you're the man.
Last question. I'm not sure if it's already been answered. However, what would you be doing if you weren't reselling?
You mean what could I be doing, or what should I be doing, or what would I be doing? I'd probably be working in a supermarket for my mate Dave, who was here at the beginning of this chat. I'd probably be managing a supermarket where the occasional insulting customer would come through and say, "So tell me, Denny, what is a man of your intelligence doing working in a supermarket?" And I'd be like, "God damn it, man, tell me what you really think."
What would you like to be doing?
I'm not qualified for anything.
Doesn't matter.
I'd like to be a writer and a photographer. I've got an exhibition coming up in Fitzroy at the end of the year. I got invited to put a piece in there. I do. Some of you guys first met me through my other Instagram page, Denim Car, which is my Artie Wanker page, where all my photos go. Yeah, something creative. I guess I thought I'd be some sort of artist, to be honest. If we could, there's just enough time for me to not get into this. I thought I'd be some kind of artist, and I've end up having to work hard to survive, which is fine. But yeah, if I could be something else, I'd be some kind of artist. I like creative stuff.
Still time, Denny. Still time.
Yeah, I'll never give up. I'll be creative till I die.
You never know, that one little art exhibition could be the start of something much.
You never know. It just takes one big collector to decide that you're the shit and you're away.
No, I'm a firm believer. If you put something out into the world and you put your mind to it, there's no reason that you can't achieve it. So
I'm probably going to lose a ton of friends instantly here, but I'm a big Jordan Peterson fan at the moment, and he says you should behave like you're someone worthwhile.
Yeah, why not? That's awesome. I really like your sort of your vibe and your attitude towards everything. So thanks heaps for coming along. Ads has just dropped in, so he's missed an awesome chat. So make sure you drop back in and have a look. Melbourne meetup next year and hit the footy at the MCG. Yeah.
Awesome idea.
But yeah, I really appreciate you coming along tonight. It's been great to talk to you. You are the OG, and we appreciate everything you bring to the game.
I'm one of the OGs.
And I really appreciate you coming along, and we're definitely going to have more chats from here on in. And we've already had plenty, but it's going to be great to get to know you more. I really hope you get into the YouTube stuff, because I'll be first one knocking on your door and leaving you big thumbs up and comments. So I'd
love it, and it's just a great pleasure to have been invited on here and be a part of it. And I've been looking forward to it all week. It's been giving me a couple of sleepless nights. I'm glad it's over. But absolute an honor and a pleasure to hang out with you all. And I hope I can continue to contribute in whatever small way I can.
Absolutely. Thanks heaps. Thanks heaps, everyone, for coming. And we'll see you next time on Aussie Thrifters. For now, bye. Bye, guys. There we go.